I just noticed that ceiling has a hook in it. That's not going to help me where it's located, but it's serving no purpose, so maybe I'll use that one instead. But it's going to have to go, like I said, over here, somewhere between the bulkhead and that flue pipe. So let me grab that one out of the ceiling. You got to look at it. Although this simple job seems to have become complicated, but it's largely just a lot of simple jobs strung together. So, I mean, what's so hard about this per se? Got my adjustable wrench. So, round and round she goes. I'm not sure if I'm the guy to put that there or not. Here you go. Okay, so I can probably figure that line in the tile here. It might very well be where the joist is running. Well, I've got an opening in the ceiling over there, so I can confirm or deny that. See the opening in the ceiling over there. Let me go stick my hand up. Let me go stick my hand up in there. But looking back at this, I'm wondering if it just caught a furring strip and not a floor joist. All right, well, definitely that hook was not in a joist, but rather in a furring strip. Because the furring strips definitely run every tile this way. The furring strip or the floor joists are going to be 16 inches on center. So if I don't mind putting it into a furring strip, that'll be easy to find. Well, you can nix the furring strip idea, because if I was to put the hook in the furring strip, it would be on the wrong side of this flue pipe here. So we're going after the joist. Now, my pipe is largely supported where it comes through the wall. The bulk of it's sitting on there. But then once the offshoots, it's definitely just hanging out in the air. So want to get that extra chain on it to hold that up. Now this pretty light fixture, it's a stained glass. It's got a sea motif. You can see shells and urchins and coral on it. It's being held up by a hook in the ceiling, but that's probably in a furring strip, being it's right in that tile seam. But I think it's time to move this light fixture because it's back here in the corner. Nobody sees it. I do want to take things like that up to the antique mall and sell them. So I built something just for that purpose, but right now it has a chandelier of sorts hanging on it. So I'll just move it, maybe group it over here with these guys. Like I say, it's a domino effect. It all started because I'm leaving for Florida, and that meant I had to be aware of what the heat was going to do while I was away, which meant that one heater wasn't good enough, which meant I had to buy a new heater, which meant I had to rework the gas pipe, which meant I had to move the light fixture, which means, well, there's a hook there. I guess if I hang it low enough, it'll hang right under these guys. Let's try that for now. If I don't like it, I can rehang it at a future date. All right. Seashell fixture, $75. Like and subscribe. If it was warmer, my hose would be on outside, and I would just take this outside and set it on the ground and hose it off. But not now. Like I say, it's 25 degrees outside. Okay, well, the seashell lamp is now hanging in its new home. Does add a splash of color in an otherwise dull corner. All right, well, I see no point in leaving this heater sit here any longer. It's just kind of sort of in the way to some degree. No pun intended. So let's move it out of the way. We got some zip ties holding the flexi pipe onto this extension cord. Okay. I honestly don't know how people survived without zip ties decades ago. They're like the modern day Scotch tape, only better. All right, no handles on these things. A little weight to this thing. I think it's definitely heavier than the new one. Oh, down to the floor. Oh, my back. Today is Thursday. That means I get to see my grandson this evening. My son and his wife. Family night here. Speaking of their grandson, he was here Tuesday. Tuesday's my day to watch him. We get him about 8 o'clock in the morning, and he doesn't usually leave until 3:30, 4 o'clock when his mom picks him up. His dad drops him off on his way to work, and his mom picks him up coming back from her job. I'm going to sweep a little bit. But anyway, I was talking about, Owen was on here on Tuesday, and we have a couple pencil marks on the wall. It's traditional. A lot of people like to keep track of your growing height. So there's at least 2 marks on the wall right now. And the last time one was put on there was probably, like 3 months or so ago. So the wife is like, Owen, come over here and let Nana see how tall you've gotten. He was a little bugger. He didn't want to, come over and see what she really wanted. But when you know it, as soon as the wife steps out of the room, he walks over to the wall and backs himself up against it. Okay, wise guy, eh? So I guess he was practicing being rebellious. And that, unfortunately, is a nature that we all receive and have to fight. And the best way to fight rebellious nature is just to turn your life over to God and say, make me a better person. Alrighty. Dirt. Okay. Getting the ladder out. Now, I have determined that my hole should be 9.5 inches from the tile seam up in the ceiling. Now that's where the joist should be. So I thought I had a poker here. Like I said, it should be 9.5 inches from the one tile seam. Should be a joist that's running this way. I said the furring strips are running this way, but due to the ductwork on this furnace, I'm not going to be able to use the furring strip, so I have to hunt down the floor joist. And to find the floor joist, I will measure, and then I will poke through the tile and try and locate the center of the joist, because you just don't want to skim it on either side. You want to be in the center. But I went over to the hole in the ceiling, and I stuck my tape measure up in there and measured from the hole until the tape wouldn't go any further, and I saw where I was on the ceiling tile. So 9.5 inches. All right, through a little trial and error, I have determined that the joist is directly above this screwdriver. You can see I started right here, and I could tell I grazed the joist. So I joisted 1.5, move over about 3/4, confirm that that should be the center of that joist. So I'm going to run a drill bit up in there and then run that sky hook. You see how it looks like at the top of my store here. Dirty dust pipe, flue pipe, top of the furnace, top of the showcase. All right, let me go get a drill and a drill bit. Now, because the tile is maybe 3/8 of an inch thick, and the furring strip is 3/4 of an inch, so there's that much of a gap between the top of the ceiling tile till I hit the joist. So, got to make sure I keep my bit running a little bit on the long side. Don't want to drop all the way down in the chuck. Get a nice pilot hole into that joist. Okay, I'm hitting the joist. Let's drill it. That should be a good pilot hole. Run this anchor, this sky hook in. Okay, I'm through the tile. I haven't bit the wood yet. Oh, come on, there we go. Biting the wood. There we go. Biting the wood. Yeah, that's... Got to use a wrench now. Is this adjustable? Let's spin this up some more. You know, it's a good... Probably centering. I don't hear any crunching. It would probably crunch if it was on the edge of the joist, because it would splinter. Okay. The eagle has landed. Bong. Now it's just a matter of getting a piece of chain and cutting it to lengthen. Okay, well, I'm going to go around the pipe and connect this together, and I will figure out how much I actually need and cut off what I don't need. Better to go 1 or 2 lengths heavy than 1 or 2 lengths shy. Okay. Let me go get the bolt cutters. Here's my bolt cutters. This is an old set, probably older than I am. It's a Somerville. Never heard of them growing up. because, you know, as a tool company, they are, what's it say? No left section, no right. Oh, number 0. These are their number 0 set. If you were to order them from the catalog back in the day, you'd say, I want your bolt cutter number 0. It says for medium steel up to 5/16 gap. Well, no problem there. Cutting this stuff will be a breeze. Like I said, I'm going to leave a little excess. So let's cut it right here. You have to cut all these chains twice, with one when they're swing set chains. There we go. Now I can put a little weight on this and hook it together. I said we just want to go the extra distance here and being safe. I actually have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 links longer than I need, but no harm there. No harm. And being, I say, I had that chain in the back room for a couple of years, and I got a couple more lengths of it. May as well use it up. I appreciate you watching, especially if you made it this far. I know I'm not making videos that are on the cutting edge. Like I say, I hope to progress as time goes by. I've been actively doing this for just a little over a year now, trying to actually produce substance for the YouTube channel. And I'm not going to beg, you know, I'm not going to plead. But like everybody else out there, I really do appreciate a like and a subscribe and a comment. I know, being that the shoe is largely on the other foot now, when I watch videos, as a minimum, I try to give them a like. I know I have maybe a dozen I subscribe to, but I don't always, very seldom give them a comment, but I'm even going to try and go ahead and give them a decent comment now and then. So I'd appreciate if you could do that for me. Thanks for listening. Here's the base that the last heater is sitting on, and that the new heater is going to be sitting on. Here's that flexi line that I was concerned that it wouldn't be long enough to reach underneath the new heater. So I kind of got a simple job more involved. So I said we're going to extend that by putting on this, and then on the end of this will go what I took off this. So let me go get the pipe joint compounds. Now, Cousin Roy, he's a good guy. He's in at least 2 of my videos, so goes through the catalog. There's even one that says messing with Cousin Roy. But then he's with me in a video down in Florida. But he only lives, you know, about 10 minutes away in a town called McKeesport. And he was working on a project. He had a radiator, hot water radiator, that rusted out on the bottom. And it was shaped like a baseboard, you know, like the electric baseboard heater. So it was kind of like that shape, a low profile. So we tried grinding it out and epoxying it, and he went and reinstalled it, and he said it still leaked. You know, I said, you know, we can try this. I don't know if it's going to work. So evidently it didn't work. So he went to one of the secondhand warehouse type used stores or rehome stores and bought a radiator to replace it with. And it was like a big one. It was probably about 30 inches tall. So he was besides himself on like, how do I install this? So I got him rolling. I went over his house and good thing I did, because I said, well, we need to trace the pipe underneath the floor. Maybe you have to disconnect a couple links down there. And when we went down there, one of the pipes that was close to the ceiling, about this long, was thoroughly rusted. So if he had just managed to replace the radiator upstairs, it would have been leaking downstairs again. So I'd measured it. I said, well, go to the store, get a pipe this long and this elbow here and that, and then it'll reach over to here. So he managed to do that and got one side of the radiator connected up with, it had the original union fitting on the side of it. We're going to do a new union on the other side. And I told him, I went with him, I said, don't forget to get the compound for the pipe thread. He said, I got some of that. Well, when I was over there a couple days later after he assembled some of it, and I'm like, what is this stuff on here? I said, and he went and got it. And I said, this ain't pipe compound. It was the compound that you roll like a snake and put it around your sink drain and screw your sink drain in the bowl. I said, I don't know if that's going to work, you know, and I see you've already done this amount with it. So we went and got the right stuff and did the other side. And I said, I don't know about your other side. So he went and disassembled it and redoped it with the proper stuff. So it's been working. So I'm glad that project turned out okay. So he actually says it almost throws too much heat. So, well, I can't help you there, but better too much than too little. So here's my pipe joint compound. I'm going to have to clean this up. I'm going to take this back and spin it on the wire wheel, both ends, to remove some of the old joint compound on it. They call these a threaded nipple. And I don't know how long it has to be before it's no longer a threaded nipple. Right? Because rather my valve is like a 3-inch piece. That's called a threaded nipple. And I'm going to put this coupling on it, put this pipe on it, this threaded nipple, and then put my brass to flare fitting on it. But like I said, this appears to be about 12 inches long. So they call it a threaded nipple when you're in the hardware store. So if it's 14 inches, is it still a threaded nipple? If it's 2 feet long, is it a threaded nipple? When does a threaded nipple actually become a length of pipe? So comment down below if you think you have know the truth on that one. All right, well, I'm going to wire brush this up and I'll be back. All right, I'm back after wire brushing it. See, there's no more old pipe compound on there. Let's put some fresh pipe compound on it. I actually blew it out too with the air gun. Paper towel here on my desk. A little bit of joint compound up here in the pipe from the last fitting. It was time it was put together, which was years ago. It probably was something like 15 years ago that I installed my first space heater down here. The one that you saw here was not the original one. That one's only been in here for a couple of months, that last one. I had another one that looked a little more boxier than that one. It was a little smaller, and it was the same deal. It didn't have a thermostat in it, but that one wouldn't stay lit anymore, and it served me for about 10 years. So I swapped it out with that Radiant one, and now I'm swapping the Radiant one out with the Blue Flame. I understand there's need to improve on things, but sometimes I think they try too hard to improve and come up with new recipes, and when you wish you still had the old recipe. But I'm working with something called Teflon pipe dope. It doesn't look like the old style grayish looking stuff. It's definitely a lot stickier and runnier than the old gray stuff. So I'm going to go around the nipple sticking out up here. I usually end up using my fingers after I put it on the brush. All right, so now I got to goop up the coupling. Where is that coupling? It's got to be right in front of me, but I don't see it. Nipple, threaded nipple. Hold on. All right, well, I gave up looking for that coupling and just went and got another one. All right, put some goop in this thing. All right, might as well goop both ends while it's in my hand. That end, let's do the other end as well. Oh boy, is that goopy, soupy. I'll stick my finger in it, flatten it out, wipe off some of the excess. This stuff keeps probably, seemingly, just about forever. Don't you wish the PVC glues were like that? Seems like once you get down to a half jar of PVC cement, it starts to turn to jelly after you haven't used it for a year. All right, goop up these threads. Basically, we can put just the whole shooting match together before I lift it up and start to tighten it in place. I mean, there is a limit to how much you really want to put on here. You don't want to so much that it runs on the inside of your pipe. But I guess that's the reason for the composition of it, is so that even if it does run on the inside of your pipe, it should not dry out and crumble and turn to flakes and end up in your gas appliance. But I don't know, I still can't help but try and work it so there's very, very little on the inside. But it doesn't always work out that way, because I've taken apart some of my previous joints and said, oh wow, there's more goop in there than I expected. Union. And this is going to go right up here. And I say it was this added length of pipe that was my initial reason for adding the chain. I mean, I probably should have had the chain on there even before this. But I said, well, it's getting out of hand here. I started adding more weight. Now we're going to start spinning at the bottom with the wrench, since that's the easiest place to latch on, and it will inevitably cause a cascade of them to tighten. This brass will tighten onto here, and that'll tighten into the union will tighten up onto the nipple. So you wouldn't have to do each one individually. Sometimes you might have to grab one individual if you need it to turn a certain direction. I definitely miss the older type pipe thread sealer. I think I have some back in the workshop, but I think it's actually starting to dry out a little bit. And when I bought this Teflon pipe dope a couple years ago, I thought it was going to be the cat's meow, but it is so messy compared to the other stuff. It just doesn't wipe off your fingers either. I mean, it's like, yuck. Well, let me try and wipe some of this Teflon goop off. Because it definitely, squirted out of the threads as I tightened it up. So tell me what you think, if you've worked with both, if you prefer one over the other. All right, a couple more spins here, and it should be tight enough. I'm sure right now it's tight enough that it's making a seal. You don't want to go ape on it. All right. That's why a lot of times it'll take 2 wrenches to tighten your flexi line on there. Because you don't want the fitting spinning anymore while you're putting torque on the flex fitting. And don't be afraid to turn your gas valve on for a brief second. Blow some stuff out of it. I actually have gotten to the point where I've gone and bought like a dryer or a stove, and you get there and there's no shut-off valve. Just make sure you got the right fittings, and like plugs or caps, and you can just undo a live gas line and cover it. Right now this line is live, but I am holding back the gas. So if I had just taken this, like I have to take this off, I could do that and then quickly put my thumb over the gas line and take the cap that I already have with the proper sealant on it, remove my thumb from the gas line and screw the cap on there. I've done that a handful of times, because a lot of times you don't want to have to go outside and turn off the gas meter, because then you have to end up lighting, appliances. Well, at least back in the old day, you'd have to go back and relight the water heater, relight the stove, relight the furnace. So it was just easier just to quickly hold your thumb on it until you had your fitting ready. Especially you get somebody who's got your back, you could say, okay, hand me that fitting. Sometimes you'll give people who are watching, never seen that done before, you'll give them a heart attack. Well, the gas is coming out, run for, you're going to kill us all. No, only if I just walk away and let it run. All right, let's get that shelf that's going on this table that we... Whoa, sent you too far. All right. So there's where the new heater's going to sit, and there should be plenty of room for the flexi line to come down. Let's go ahead and remove the flexi line from the old heater. Now the new heater, there's no nipple on it or elbow, or so I'm gonna have to add something to the new heater, because there's no, you can't just throw a flexi line on where there's no nipple to receive the line. Okay. Okay, so you can see where I did need to extend that pipe, because now the flexi line comes down to the table and will reach underneath the new heater. All right, well, I need to save these because I'm probably going to end up needing them for the new heater. That was easy peasy. But like we know that the new heater is coming out on the bottom. So this works if it's coming out the back. So evidently I'm going to need some kind of elbow to go into the bottom. And I may have to convert this just to a straight rather than an elbow. So elbow, and convert that to a straight. That's the way I see it happening. Now, with the feet on this thing, if I was to screw this into the base, it's longer than the foot. So that's not going to work. And this definitely won't, it's the wrong size to screw directly in there. So let's take a look and see if by chance they gave us some kind of elbow in here. Now, it's great if you're hanging it on the wall. There's no legs, so there's not going to be too much interference. But if you're using the feet, you need to come up with an elbow. Okay, well, this is definitely not light. It seems to be well made. All right, looking into the bottom, into the abyss. The directions. Yeah, there's no elbow. They give you the screws for the feet and a battery, some spacers, and some something made to go into drywall, I guess. So we're going to have to come up with an elbow to turn that out to meet the flexi line. All right, well, nothing that came off the back of the old heater is going to work. So I got this. It's known as a street elbow. It means male, female. They call it a street elbow. That'll go into the bottom here. Then this will go in. Then this will go on. And that will reach my flexi line behind the heater. So we're going to go, right now, being the feet aren't on, I can actually assemble all of this, and then I'll be able to just spin it around and get it in the right position and then put the feet on. So I've got to get the goop on it. All right, well, I got quite a few tools out here. I'm going to go put some of them away. Key to the city. Put this away. This. Bottle of glue, it don't need to be here. I just had a gentleman come in and insist on, he bought a clock here yesterday, and then he wanted to bring it back and trade it and get a different one and get cash back. And so I ended up with this clock from him. And he bought, looked like an old high school project clock that somebody built in high school wood shop off of me. So he comes back with some intermittent frequency. He's hard of hearing, but he has no hearing aids and wants to communicate, and it's hard. And I try and be patient, and I feel that I am, and I give in to what he wants, being that I can afford to lose a couple of dollars here and there if it helps somebody like himself. There, but for the grace of God go I. Okay. Don't look forward to messing with the goop again. This goop is goopy. A little bit on the inside. And that's the problem. You think you swabbed it and you haven't, and you stick it in again, and then you get too much in there, and it's like soft serve. Oh, and then it's dripping off the brush. Oh, I covered up the hole. I know I personally will not buy this stuff again if there's a choice. Give me the old stuff. Now it's inside the pipe where I don't even need it. Hold on. I do not like this stuff at all. I'm surprised I didn't get rid of it some time ago. It is horrible. I'm not saying it doesn't do the job, but it is so hard to work with. Just leaves a mess everywhere. Runs down inside your pipes where you don't need it. Sticks all over your fingers where you don't need it. I mean, I know I'm putting my fingers in it, but when I put my fingers in the other stuff, it isn't such an issue when I put it in the gray stuff. But this Teflon stuff, please. All right. I just got done wiping off all the compound that squishes out when you tighten up your joints. Had this in a vise, and it just... Here's the stuff that I'd rather work with. Actually says no drip, no spill. But this is kind of sort of dried out. And it's still usable. I probably should have just used it anyway. It's not so dry that it's not usable. It just doesn't spread as easily, but that might have been a blessing, because this stuff's spreading all over me, this Teflon stuff. I got one more to go. I have to screw this into the bottom of the heater. And once it's in the bottom of the heater, it connects onto here. Now on this particular connection I'm making, just as an example, it'll be a permanent connection when you don't use any pipe goop on it, because it's what's known as a flare. See the shape of that? You have the opposite shape inside here, so it's a compression flare. Now let's go attach this to the heater and attach the feet to the heater. Then we'll be able to bring that over here and connect it up. You know, initially I thought this was going to be a hour-long job. So I'm sure I'm past the 2-hour mark on it. I can't remember. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and use some of the old gray dope on it, on this last fitting. This is the first time I've actually opened the directions since the thing has arrived. And it does say, and I did do that, use on the floor mounting feet will require to use a 3/8 NPT street elbow to make gas connection. NPT means National Pipe Thread, and that's this elbow here. And thank God I had it. already in my inventory in my bin of pipe elbows. So this goes into the bottom of the heater now. We'll spin that in until it's snug. And then we'll take these little screws here. I can't believe how small they are to hold the feet on. It's like, gosh, couldn't you at least give me a ½ an inch of screw there? But all right. We said we was going to use the old gray dope this time. Now, I always do both the male and the female thread. Is there anybody that just says you just have to do one and not the other? Just do the female or just do the male? Let me know your thoughts on that. Here I go down to the heater, and what I do is I kind of just like screw in the brush. And you're usually disappointed with what the amount of sealant is put in there. That's why I usually end up using my finger to verify that I got a good number of threads covered. So I usually get my pinky finger in there. So I get this stuff on my fingers. At least it comes off a lot easier than that Teflon. All right. A lot of your, probably most of it, your gas fittings, your iron fittings now are made in China. And it's not like the old days where the precision is gone. And a lot of your threads, when it comes to the stuff that they import to us, their tolerances are just a little more willy-nilly. I've noticed that. That's the problem with the good old days. And a lot of people probably don't notice that, the younger generation. They just think, well, that's the way it's always been, you know? No, things used to go better, go together easier. So either you feel sometimes like you're cross-threading them because one Chinese thread into another Chinese thread, sometimes they just don't agree with each other, seemingly. But they're usually always close enough that eventually it'll go together. But now's not the time to cross-thread something. And see, in the old days, I'm struggling to get this started. The old days, the American, the good old USA, it would have, bam, it would have been in there. Okay, I think it's finally aligning. It's like, okay, I think that's where I'm going to stop with it. Right there, it's at a slight angle, and that's going to meet the line coming down. So just got to screw the feet on, carry this unit over there, and attach the flexi line. Check this out. This is the foot. There's a pair of them. And then when you look at the foot in the directions, it does not exactly look like this one. So it's not obvious, but I can tell the longer end goes out front. But to look at their drawing versus the actual foot that's included, not the same.